I want to share with you a question that has the ability to reshape your life in the same way that it reshaped the future of Intel in the 1980s. If you've been feeling stuck and in a rut, then this might just help you think about what your next power move is going to be. So in the 1980s, Intel is stuck. They've been the memory chip guys for the longest time. It's helped them to build a behemoth of a company. But now the market is being flooded by memory chips. And as a result of that, their business is crashing, their stock price is crashing, and they have to figure out what their next move is going to be. Now, it seems pretty obvious at the time that they should be moving into microprocessors because they just released a microprocessor. It was received very well, but it was a very difficult thing for them to do because they were the memory chips guys. Now, one day, Andy Grove and Gordon Moore, the two guys heading up Intel at the time, are in a meeting, and Andy asks a very good question. He said, if the board fired us today and they brought in a new CEO, what would that CEO do? And Gordon almost immediately said, get us out of memory. And so Andy said, well, then what is stopping us from just doing that? Why don't we just walk out that door and come back as the new CEO and just do that? And it was that moment and that question that ultimately then reshaped Intel's future because they got out of memory, they started focusing on microprocessors. The psychological principle at play here when Andy asks that question is something they call self-distancing. And it's something we desperately need if we are trying to figure out what our next move is going to be. In reality, we are just too close to the subject at hand. We are too close to our own way of thinking and doing, and that makes it very difficult to see outside of ourselves. You know, over time, we groove our habits, our rituals, and our routines. And those aren't just the physical things we do, it's also the way that we think about the world. And so we groove it over and over and over. And at some point in time, you just can't see outside of those habits, rituals, and routines. You can only see what's in front of you. And so if you want to think about things in a more divergent way, if you want to generate more options, then you need to create a bit of distance between you and yourself. And so there are three ways that I want to suggest you do this. The first is just to engage in more thought experiments. Just ask yourself more questions. And this question that Andy asks is the perfect question to begin with. So the way that you would ask that is to say, if I had to fire myself today as the CEO of my life and I had to bring in a new CEO, what would be the first thing that that CEO would do? What would they tell me to do? If they had to look at my life and evaluate my standards and my habits and my rituals and the opportunities in front of me, and if they had to look at the skills that I have and how to apply those skills maybe in new ways, what would they tell me to do? And I promise you, it's a more useful exercise than you might imagine. It could be quite uncomfortable. When I did that exercise for myself, it was really uncomfortable because I realized the many areas in my life where I'm not living up to the ideals that I have or to the standard that I would want to live up to. So it's quite confronting, to be honest. The second way, like the second version of this, would be to actually just outsource it to AI. We don't want to outsource our thinking to AI, but we do want to use it as a thinking partner. And so if you've been using Grok or Claude or ChatGPT, then it already has a lot of context on you. And asking it this question, saying, I want you to be the CEO of my life and you to tell me what you think I'm missing and not seeing and what could be my next power move, then that might be quite useful. And I've done this as well. I used Claude as my business coach for a few months, and then I promoted Claude, said, I want you to be the CEO of my life. And it has been profoundly impactful in my life. Not in that I'm outsourcing my entire business and my thinking to Claude, but that it is challenging my perspectives. It is holding me accountable. It is showing me where I'm saying certain things, but not doing those things. And then the third version of this, obviously, is that you can go to your colleagues, friends, find coaches, people who are outside of you who can provide you with new and different perspectives. I'm pretty sure you've had this experience in your life that people come to you and they ask you certain questions or they ask you for advice, and you are able to very easily tell them what you think they should do. That is because you have an outsider's perspective, because you aren't as close to the subject as they are to it. Even if we have momentum and we are just looking to generate new options and find new ways to do things or find better ways to do things or figure out what better opportunities there might be for us, in all of those instances, it is useful to rely on and find external perspectives, because those people can see things that you can't see. So remember that the next best step in your life might not always be apparent, but you can find ways to make it apparent. And you can do that through self-distancing and applying it through these 3 different levels. I hope that helps. See you soon.